it's 14 up there now. If we bring that down to 12, it's still,
Bring it down to 12 and 45, Charlie, just to see. That brings it.
if we bring it down to, say, 40.
Yeah.
So what's the differences here?
Yeah.
You know, if you look at, I'm just kind of get rid of some of these. Like if you look at the,
We can legally email back and forth, 'cause it might be helpful before the meetings. Send
Well-
some questions over between.
I mean, if you look at this, say, Eel Point right now, or Voice Hollow. Voice Hollow's probably, so it's 22 right now from the airport, so it's gonna go up $6.
Yeah, no, it won't, because if you're leaving from the airport and going to Oaks Hollow,
That's
that's
right.
zone one.
Right.
So it's
That's right.
So
Sorry.
none of those rates really.
Yeah, we gotta
change.
get down here. So you look at these here. These are the cross towns here, or the cross islands. So 260, so we go back up to 45.
Like all these, Ken? All of these actually come under rate one,
Right.
not zone two, because you're leaving from the airport, and that's
Yeah.
in zone one. So you're
Yes.
going from zone one to zone
So you
two.
gotta look just at the
These-
bottom ones, bottom 3.
The bottom three,
That's why,
the bottom three aren't too bad.
that's at 14 and 50.
Yeah.
So
So,
at 12 and 45, they're almost right where they are today. If you look up on the screen.
yeah, so if we left it at if we went to 12 and left it at 50, it'd be a slight increase in all of them.
Right, so it's like $1 more, so if you go 12 and 50.
Yep.
So it's, just because that distance is so far.
Yep. There it is at 12 and 50, Ken. One at Wisconsin goes up 50 cents. One at Matticat, Wisconsin goes up 4.30. One at Matticat goes up $5.
It's a 12 and 50.
Yeah. And that does bring me in line, Charlie, with the, if they were going like 3.5 miles, the wall in it. You know, if you're picking up anywhere in the Pulpus Road or. All right.
Is that 12 and 50?
Yep.
It's just not for $2 off of here. All right, let's talk about the second fare rate, the fourth drop.
Well, we were going to use the,
Take that for now. This was what came up at the meeting after we met with you, some of the stuff that the people were concerned about. A lot of people feel that the town rate at 7 is too high for the core people. Going from boats to around town, it seemed like 7 was too much.
We can
we can
drop
lower it.
Just for the
I'm in favor of lowering it.
special town fairs, regular town fairs.
If you,
I think the general consensus through the entire community is these all should be based on the one person, not the two people included. Certainly did the math on a lot of stuff and how much of our business is based on the second fair and can, I'm gonna get some clarification from the audience on a couple things. Roger, did you tell me you wanted to say something about what the meeting was about last week?
Yeah, pretty much you said it, that the town rate needs to be probably dropped a little bit. But the airport could stay at the 7 and everything would probably be pretty close to where it is now.
Okay. Anybody else for clarification?
The problem with meters, it's all or nothing. You have to either knock down the drop or the mileage. You can't pick zones. There's no more zones. Like, you just can't have a fare from, that involves the airport to, one area, but then a rate that's just right across the street on Macy's Lane gets a different rate. So if you say that's high or low, you just got to be consistent. We can drop any of those numbers now.
We could drop the in-town rate, the initial rate to 6.
All right, so we're intense.
What the hell am I stuck on here? What was it, 6 and 25?
So we're pull plan around us. Let me get this back to.
Between 7 and 5,
I know.
6 and 25. Right now, you guys charge
You want,
$2 for the extra person, right?
noted. Just keep it fair for the one person, and then actually, once it is on the cab, brings the cost down for the fare, for the group.
Definitely working back and forth on that. I got an idea on that.
All right, what do you guys want to do?
6 and 25 for 10. And then scroll down to the town rates. I'm going to work this weekend.
So,
Somewhere along.
No, in Boston.
like this one for a minute.
Chatter off.
I know. Next week I'll go into Florida for 5 days. But this week, we got to go give us fishing seminar this weekend in Boston.
So it's a buck difference.
No, let's scroll down to the town rates for me.
Well, I'm looking at Airport Town right now. Is that, we want to go
No,
town?
just like from, leaving from town. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Yeah, right here. So those,
So you're at a $6 drop and then 25 cents for 10.
Let's talk about something a little bit different here, the add-ons. We talked about setting the add-on button at 250, so that when it's after midnight, you can hit it twice for the extra add-on.
That was another thing. For the after hours, especially with the clientele we're dealing with, it should just read right there, whatever the fare is, the starting fare. Because once you start hitting the button, you're gonna get into all kind of arguments with the I-rates. If they're half blurry, they can still see that it's gonna be
Well, when you
15 or
add it on,
something.
it's going to add it on, boom,
Well,
boom.
it's gonna be over to the right, and then it's gonna pop over later at the end.
Unless we go to the more expensive meters where you
Well, I
can
think
have
we-
5 zones, then
I think we need to go with the mod zones anyways, because this gets implemented and then it doesn't work, we can add zones.
Okay, but then you're into this complicated zone thing again. I mean, what's the issue with trying to figure out 3 simple rate zones right now? Basically 2, not even 3, it's 2, it's real simple.
Right.
You keep adding things to try and shoehorn a meter rate structure into the existing zone map, Not gonna happen. You gotta move on from that.
Here's
You
what
know?
here's what I'm going to suggest, that we leave it with the three zones, the Zone 1, the Zone 2, and we have the second passenger zone. That would be the third zone. Then you have the senior one, which is easy enough to do. Set the add-on button at 250. After hours, you hit the button twice. I will give you the second passenger and how many ever you have add-on at 250. So we'll set the rates for single person. The second rate, second person, you hit the button, it's 250. Third person, you hit the button again, it's 250. So on and so on. You got 6 people in the cab, you hit the button 5 times. It's posted right in the back of the cab. It's not that hard to figure out. I mean, it prints it right on the receipt. So it's not like you got to go to a book and say, look, here it is. It's posted right on the sheet that after hours, after midnight, there's a $5 add-on. And second passenger's $250. So you get going by what you guys just gave me, the amount of second passengers
Till 2.
So then we have one add-on price, and we talked briefly about bags. After what, 4 bags?
4 bags are free,
Then
fifth or more.
you'd hit the add-on one time for bags. So that would,
And then 250 for a bike.
and 250 for a bike. So it's a slight increase in your add-ons. We drop the in-town initial rate to 6 instead of 7 to start. We could even go down to 5 if you guys think that's still too high.
So
But
the
you
extra
still have
person's
your
gonna be
add-on.
250 instead of 2 now?
Right. That way your add-ons the add-on button is the same for everything. So after hours, you hit it twice. So otherwise, we're going to have to set a 5th zone for after midnight, and that means that you're going to have to buy a more expensive meter.
Well, it's not even a 5th, you'll need 2 zones because
A
you...
5th and a
Right, we're gonna
6th.
need like at least 8, as it is.
No, we're not going to have 8 zones. We're going to have 3 or 4
Well,
zones. The whole idea was to simplify this.
It's still the same zones, it's just gotta be the regular and the after hours and the,
Where you just add the add-on on.
I mean, the same confusion about what rate
What is this
rate
here?
is selecting.
This airport zone.
it's the regular hours, and then it would be after hours when those late jets come in would go up to $5.
Yeah, but there is no, whatever town,
thing
and
as 5.
these are the same.
These are the same.
This zone, these are the same zones now. There is no airport
7
zone
right
now.
now.
Right, so I don't know where you were trying to come up with a
Well,
fifth.
we were trying to keep.
So go in the middle there and call it 6. All right? Start off at 6 and leave the per mile rate the same. Okay?
0.25 out of 10.
Great.
That's what I had.
All right?
We're also suggesting that we don't go with the 4-button meter just for the contingency if we have to go back in and change and need more buttons later. You don't want to have to buy a new meter.
Well, it's up to you guys. You can buy whatever meter you want. We're just trying to make it as inexpensive for you as we can.
You want to buy the electronic 700 meter, they're like $800-900 a piece. They hook into credit card readers and GPS machines and computers. That's, the minimum functionality and the simplest is those 2 meters. And,
Yeah, we'd all like it to be the simplest.
and the simplest is the
Possible,
cheapest, and the least complicated and the least error prone. But there's systems out there that, a lot of money, but, can do the same thing. I just think as Bobby said, keeping it simple, the 250 extra for those things, whether you're pushing it once or twice, it doesn't matter because, if you select the wrong rate chart, rate's going to display up there anyway, so, you got to figure out something being, clear. So you say that any extra passenger is going to be 250 beyond one then, right?
Yeah. This is what I have. I have 250 per person after one. So, 2 and up.
Come back to 1. So we're talking about 12.
No,
250 for the add-on person.
Oh,
Okay, so, boom. $5 after 12.
For all fares.
For all fares, just wherever zone you had the $5 add-on. 250 for over 4 bags, so fifth bag and up is another 250. Okay? And then 250 for a bike. Those are your add-ons, 4 add-ons. And then dropping this rate to 6, the town rate, zone 1, leaving this the same, dropping this to 12, to bring that in line down here, okay? Because this is a pretty substantial. All right? So that's what I have. So I just want to make sure you have it so you can go back and look at it some more, okay? I'm not touching the seniors, we're good with that. So really, I think the only thing left we need to do here is to figure out the crosstown, the second person fare.
Yeah, the multiple thing.
Yeah. And, you know, looking at the two differences, if we just, and this is a starting point, we started in the middle at $9 for the second drop.
I think we were thinking around 10 at that. Yeah, we're talking about 10.
All right, so say 10, and leaving it at 25 cents for
25
a
minutes.
tenth of a mile.
Looks like.
So would you say 10?
10 and 25 at a 10. So now it's, you gotta look more at like distances, like 2 miles would be 1480. 4 miles would be $20 roughly. 3
I don't know,
miles.
I don't see the fairness in that whole bit. You know, it just seems that you're getting 100% of the profit for, you know, less than 50% of the expenses. Where that first driver is taking the fare. You know, you go, again, use the same scenario of town to the brewery. You know, 3 miles, right?
You can,
Town to Cisco, or my common say it's 3 miles. They get 14 or 16, right now they're getting $14 with it. If someone gets in that cab to go from the brewery to the end of the road, they have to pay, you know, and say it's another mile, they have to pay another $13. So you're going to get 1680. I'm sorry, it's a little high. Look at this one so we can talk about this.
you knock out $5 on each
So-
of the gas on the long one, so it brings it
If
down close to what it was.
just using the $7, so that's what I've got written down here for the one we were doing. So the town to the brewery, all right, which would be town to Cisco, it's about 3 miles. The fare right now is $14. Using the meter fare, that same thing, comes out to $14. Now, you're going to go for a mile, maybe, to the end of the road from the brewery, and you're going to get whacked for at least, you know, what was it, 10, another $12.50. So you're gonna go $12.50, so you're gonna get 14 bucks for the first fare to go to the brewery, from town to the brewery, 14 bucks. And then another 12 bucks to go that extra mile. It just doesn't seem right.
Well, it's not really, they're getting the ride from town, so the home distance is actually.
Well, I'm saying,
what they're paying.
they're getting a ride, but why do they have to pay another 100% of that ride to go a mile when they already paid, to get out of the brewery? They already had that, so I don't see it.
You're talking from the brewery to the beach?
Yeah, say it's a mile. Say it's a mile. So if you go a mile, for 1 mile,
You gotta go back and get them.
I'm not saying you go back anywhere, I'm just saying it's a mile. So you go 1 mile, so you take a fare from town to the brewery, all right? Town to use the Cisco MyComet. So right now, this is the add-on rate, but if you're using, just put it back in. So if we're using 6, so we can write it down. So at $6, this fare right here, town to Cisco MyComet, okay, is 13 bucks. All right, so that's 13. So that fare gets out there and gets 13. Then we do the second add-on fare for the multiples. This town to Cisco, I'm sorry, so you just use the mileage now, so just you grab a mile, 1.3, it's 13 bucks. So to go an extra mile, 1.3 miles, is $13. So you get $13 for the fare to go from town to the brewery, but yet to go from the brewery to Ishmael or any of those that development down there in Cisco Estates is another 13 bucks.
But they're not starting at the brewery.
Yeah, they are.
They're starting in town.
No, they're starting at the brewery.
No, when they get them up in town, they're starting in town.
The fair is starting at the brewery. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they started downtown. So that whole run basically for 2 stops to go from town to the brewery to Cisco Estates, 26 bucks.
Charlie, punch in 850 on the initial fare for me. What I've done there, I've taken the initial drop, added the 250 for the second person. Because if 2 people are going to the brewery right now,
Yeah.
you add the 250 for the second person, right? And they could both get out there. Now, the guy that just got out there could call a cab and say, okay, now I want to go from here down to Ishmael.
That's exactly my point. Thank you for putting it that way.
So if
It's a new fare, getting into the brewery.
is a new fare. So if you took the add-on, right, that you put 2 people in the cab in town and you were going to the brewery.
6 plus 250.
Right. Then that would make your initial fare $8.50, and then you charge the regular mileage from there. That's a fisherman's compromise. In there. Sorry. It's the only thing I can hear over. It's the only thing I can hear over the motor of the boat, so that's why it's in there. So, you see what I'm trying to do here? Because technically, if Charlie and I get in the cab on Main Street and we went to the brewery, right? And I got out of the cab, we'd pay the rate plus the 250,
It's $15.50.
right? Now I could, before you could even pull out of the parking lot, I could say, oh, I changed my mind, I want to go to the end of Cisco Road. You're not going to refuse the fare because you're sitting right there. So I get back into the cab and you'd drop it at $6 and take me to the end of Cisco Road. So that's really the second fare. But I would have had to pay the $2.50 from town to get to the brewery. See what I'm saying? Because 2 people got in the cab. So add the $2.50 to the initial rate, which starts you at $8.50, and then go your mileage from there. Yep,
If your first party is going to Ishmael,
yep.
you pick up the second party, it's going to Cisco Brewers, how do you deal with that one? Your first party is Ishmael.
You drop them at Ishmael, then you reset the meter, and you drop the other guy at the brewery on your way back into town.
Is that going to work?
Sure, because it's the same thing. Now you drop, you're gonna re-drop the,
Yeah, but is your second party going to want to sit there and go
Oh,
to Ishmael? and-
that's up to them when they share the cab. You know, you tell them that I've got a fare and I'm going to Ishmael first, and then I can drop you on the way back. I mean, technically, no one has to share a cab. Any person could say, I don't want to share the cab, and you have to take the single fare. You can't refuse it because, you know, this is more for, and I understand, Mike's, from what is, the way it's been explained to me, this is when you're sitting in front of the chicken box at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you say, I'm going to Cisco, anybody else going that way? And then you throw 3 or 4 people in the cab. Or you're at the boat and you're going to Bram Point, you say, I'm going to White Elephant towards Bram Point, and you got one person that's going to White Elephant, and one person that's going down to Hulbert Ave or something like that. So, you know, this, I mean, that's the way, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that was the way it was explained to me. It doesn't happen very often when you're sitting in front of the club car and you got 2 people, one wants to go to Mattocket and one wants to go to Surfside. You know, that would be one cab would take one group, one would take the other, so.
So that would be the fourth rate.
That would be the 4th rate. We'd start at $8.50, leave the mileage where it is.
Okay.
I mean, do you ever put 3 fares in the cab? Sometimes? So you drop one, you reset at $8.50, you stick charge them, you drop the second, you reset at $8.50, you drop the third one. If 3 people got in the cab and they were all going to, say, Main Street, then you drop it, and each person, the other 2 people would each pay $2.50 each extra. So this is adding the $2.50 into the base rate, but it's also charging the mileage if you drive farther with a second person. Does that, do you understand what I'm trying to do here?
So what would happen if you just had somebody call you, say they were at Cisco Beach and they want to go to the brewery? How does that rate work? You start at $6, get your mileage, and you only end up at probably $8.50.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas now you would probably get what, 14 to do that. And that one doesn't work out too good.
Well, there's going to be some that aren't, unfortunately, but there's others that the rates are going up, so it's probably going to all average out in the wash, so.
And these meters set with time, like if you get stuck on the, Pulpus Road, like someone hit a deer, like recently it happened to me.
My understanding is that-
They're always, the time is always running. Time is always running. If the car stops moving, time kicks in. If you can turn the time off, if you're stuck in traffic on Main Street and you don't want to charge the time, you don't have to. You can push the disable time button.
But why would you do that?
Because you want to, because I've been in a cab in Hyannis, I said it the last couple of meetings, I've been stuck in traffic at the Rotary in Hyannis going to the boat. Taxi driver, turn the time off. It says right on the meter, time off.
It's up to the driver.
The driver can do it if he wanted to, you know? It was extraordinary that the traffic was backed up. He didn't want to,
You're gonna start getting complaints, well, geez, it took me, it cost $10 to go here one time, next time it cost me 13.
Good.
Well, it's never going to be the same anymore.
It's never going to be the same unless you leave in the
It's never
exact
gonna be the
time,
same.
but then it should be.
Because we get so many complaints.
Gonna be
But it'll show right on it. If you get the receipt, it'll show time, it'll show exactly what you did. If you turn the time off, you gave them a discount.
Should be one way or the other.
Well, the rate is the rate. If you don't want to turn the time off, you don't have to. And how often, are you going to turn the time off? I don't think you would. I was surprised the guy did it.
Yeah.
You know?
I get in the cab in Hyannis with the meter and go to the same place probably 20 times a year, and it varies within $3 either way, depending on
Couple
the
of-
time.
Yeah, I mean,
Depending on
I've
the
gone from the
lights, depending
airport to
on-
the High Line, it depends where they stop at the High Line, it depends what exit they go in, it depends where they pick you up at
It
the...
is what it is. People are used to that. They're not going to argue with the meter.
But it's not that big a fluctuation.
Can you plug in 9 for me, Charlie, please?
For which one?
For the second flag drop we're working on. So we can make it up on other runs, take a little bit on the other ones.
I think you're going to take that much of a beating on this.
And again, how often does it, it's not the majority of your fares.
It's the midnight to 1:30 mostly. Or,
No, it's
There's a
the
sh-
afternoons and the beach time, brewery time. That's just one example of
We're
it.
getting the 250 back per person, I don't know, I think it's gonna, you know, you just made 250 on every fare, because I don't know how many singles you got going out there.
Just so I'm clear on this, this is the
Second,
flag drop for the second fair.
right.
All right, and Cisco is now in what is called the town zone, right? So this flag drop would apply to, if I pick up 2 really short runs of the steamship, like one to the JC,
Yes,
one to the Roberts House, so I got to start it at 8:50 for the second one?
no, you start the first rate at rate 1,
$6.
rate 1, then when you get to the JC house, you have to end that fare, give the guy the printed receipt if he wants it, and then you would start with rate 4 to go to the White Elephant.
And that rate is $8 or $9?
Yep.
We're talking here?
Yep.
I mean, the simple solution is just to leave it at $6.25 and you drop the second drop the same as the first.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's the simple solution, but you guys don't want to do that.
Which means the Cisco.
I mean, to be honest, that's what Charlie and I would prefer. I'm trying to make you guys happy here by adding the 250, which is what the second person would pay normally. I mean, if both people went to, if you, like you said, if one was going to the Jarred Coffin, it's a block. If both people got out at the Roberts House, the other person would just pay 250. So, and walk up the street. So, by adding it at 850, the 250 is built into the drop. So for me, that's the fair way to do this. You go any higher than that, and I think the public's taking it on the chin on this one. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think they kind of are now.
They're out of town.
even if they're out of town, though. Even if they're out of town, because as Charlie said, you're driving, you're already 3/4 of the way there, and you're going to go a very short distance, and you're going to get a full fare again. So, you know, one of the reasons we're at meters is because of this kind of thing, because complaints we get about it. Why should I have to pay a full fare again when I'm only going half a mile or 3/4 of a mile? So I'm just trying to appease you guys. I'm trying to find a happy medium here where everybody's happy. I doubt I ever will, but I'm striving for that. So.
So it seems to me it's more beneficial to stay in town and run the town circuit than it would be to run out of town, because that solves the solution of the out-of-town issues.
Well, that would be the ideal method, that, as they do in anywhere else that has radio dispatch, a cab is always spread out. They're all not hanging around the one spot. You know, if you had a decent dispatching system that all the cabs would use, you'd leave cabs at the brewery, you'd leave cabs at the Muse.
Yeah.
So that way, if you had a call at Surfside, you'd send the car that's at the Muse, not the car that's at the club car. I mean, that's the efficiency of having, multiples, but, we won't go there. This is the same thing with Wisconsin. Like, people say, well, I got to drive all the way to Wisconsin. But in the summertime, if you had a decent dispatch system, you'd leave a car in Wisconsin. There'd be a taxi cab at the post office out there to handle all of those Wisconsin runs. But it just doesn't work the way, the way it's set up. So this is the best we're going to get.
Well, we're not going through that, but you can have independent cabs and you could all get together. You could have 6 or 7 cab companies and have your own dispatch and have one number where it calls and, to be more efficient. But that's entirely up to you guys. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to tell you how to run your businesses, so,
Making decisions on it. I have a question. Is there a pilot program maybe in place to run a meter, let's say, and see how it works out before
No.
60 cab companies buy
No.
a meter?
No,
each buy-
well, yeah, there is. Go to the
proposed.
mainland, every cab company's got a meter. They've been running them for years, so it's not like this is some new technology that no one's used before. It's new for Nantucket, but it's not new for the world. And we're not going to put meters in 4 cabs this summer and have them run with meters when everybody else is charging the fares. The meters have already been voted through by the Board of Selectmen, so now we need to set the rates. So that's why we're here. And then these proposed rates will go to a public hearing in front of the Board of Selectmen, and whoever wants to come and make comments, and then the board will decide if they're going to adopt these rates or send them back to us for changes or change them there on the spot. So that's where we're at. We're not making any firm decisions here. We're presenting a proposal to the board.
What's the rate for time? Is it the difference between waiting, stop time and driving?
You set it right now, which is the fraction of the hour, which is, what is it, $60 an hour now?
Yeah.
Fraction of the hour.
So it'll be $1 a minute.
Driving and stop?
No, just when it's stopped. If the car's moving, the time doesn't engage, right? And it has to be
Right.
sitting for a certain amount of
Yeah,
time.
it's
12 miles an hour.
It's built into the meter that if you drop below a certain threshold, then the time kicks in. But if you start moving again, then the time goes away. You have to be sitting for, stop for a minute.
Section is gonna kick in at $1 a minute?
No, not automatically. You have to be there, I think, for probably at least a minute of not moving at all, and then it would kick in. But once you start moving again, it goes in again.
Well, I think that this rate needs to be to 850. Anything more than that, I think, is very, very hard to explain.
So you have 4 rates, right, Bobby? $6.50 in town, $12 out of town, $3 seniors, and then $8.50.
$6 in town.
6 in town, $3 for seniors, $12 for the Zone 2, and then $8.50 for the second fare.
And Zone 2 is a 50-cent, 1/5 of a mile, and all the others are 25 cents, 1/10 of a mile. Bob, did we see the extra for a dog? Is that $2.50 for a dog?
No,
No? Okay. So no dog extras?
no.
Dogs are humans too.
In my house, they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go, dog's got checks.
What else? Is that it?
Put my dog back.
I know, I think, I think we hit everything we needed to hit.
I think close. I think, you're going away. You're
Not here next week.
I'm back. Charlie's away next week. I'm away the week after. I'm back on the 5th. I think I'll schedule a meeting for sometime on the 6th or the 7th. We'll give you a chance for your group to go back and look at this a little more. And then we'll tweak whatever we need to tweak. And then I'll present it to the Board of Selectmen, and we'll schedule the public hearing, advertise it, and go from there. So I will,
What day was it?
I don't know, I gotta go see what's available in the rooms. I will text you, and I
Yeah,
will
the
text
5th, yeah, the
text
5th
you.
won't be good because I'm in court all day after Monday.
I don't even get back to the
Okay.
5th, so
Right.
probably, I think, is Wednesday the 6th?
Yes.
Wednesday's not gonna work for me because I got selectmen meetings, so we'll shoot for Thursday the 7th in the morning, 8 o'clock.
Penny's a
I have an executive session at 10, so I can come here and then go there. Does that work for you, the 7th?
I have a question for the board, please. Mr. DeCosta, you mentioned that you're coming up with the rate structures and everything to propose to the Board of Selectmen. Has anybody from maybe Weights and Measures been contacted to look at the island?
Yes.
Who does this on a
I've talked to
daily
Mr.
basis?
Carroll at the division, he's the director or the assistant director of the Weights and Measures in Massachusetts. I've been talking to him, I talked to him last week, I've talked to him in January, I've talked to him in December. He's all set, ready to go.
Okay, and that's based on
That's
just
based
your
on talk-
word that you talked?
Well, if you don't believe me, then you're on your own, but I've talked to him a couple of times, so I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah, we talked about setting up, we have to set up a measured mile here. We have to get a surveyor or Mohammed, the engineer of the DPW, to do it. We have to set up the measured mile, mark it out on the road, and that's how the meters are set. And we talked about coming down 2 sessions that probably early May, and then in June. We're still flexible on the dates, but he's ready to go.
Able to come down
Oh, yeah,
in May?
yeah. These are the same guys that come here all the time that do all the gas pumps, do all the scales. They come here. It's no different.
But these things are supposed to be installed by May 1st. Are they
Well-
gonna be legal?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, that some of the cabs aren't on the road until July, so this is why we're setting up 2 things. And hopefully we'll be able to do this by May 1st. We've got to see how, just talked about the installation. I've talked to Nantucket Auto Body, talked to Norman Moore there, and I talked to Eric Evans at Don Allen's. They're both ready, willing, and able to go. They're just waiting for some direction. I told them, both of them, to get the point guy is Ken Turgeon. I told them to talk to him. They've been hearing all kinds of stories. There's all kinds of stories going around that there's nobody on the island's going to do this, and both of them have told me they're, ready to go. So, it's not, they're not complicated to install, and they're more than willing to do it. So, I think all the technical side about how it gets implemented, or those questions have been addressed.
What if you need a weight and measures guy in, say, August or September, you switch?
I've talked to Mr. Carroll about that, and he said that when we do the training here, or when we do the certification, he will train 1 or 2 of the police officers to do on an emergency interim basis. We have one of our guys will be certified to do that emergency type of calibration.
Right,
He says it doesn't happen a lot.
right, but playing devil's advocate, if I have to switch a truck
But-
or something like that.
Yep.
Just hold on.
Yep.
Say it's you and you're on vacation,
I said 1 or 2.
well, say you're full-time. Say one-
Well, we'll make sure
I mean,
that,
I just playing devil's advocate.
first of all, most of your police don't get vacation in July and August because it's our busy months. It's in their contract, actually, that
Hey,
they can't
I'm
take
here,
vacation.
there's
So
always someone going to be here.
we'll make sure that one of them's here all the time so that we won't run into that situation.
Where you're down 5 days waiting for weights and measures.
Well, I'm a big lover in redundancy, and this is one of the things that I have stressed since I've been on the Board of Selectmen, is to make sure that there's always someone there that can do it if the other person isn't. So
So there has to be something in place for this.
it will be,
The cab company has to report it to a police station, fill out a form, let them know what happened, when, and what do you do in the meantime?
the advantage here is that we're going to do it in-house. I mean, I'll give you an example of what happens to me in my profession. I have to be randomly drug tested. Anyone who works on a charter boat has to be drug tested. Every company has to have a drug officer in charge of their drug testing program. Here, the hospital does the drug testing. But because I'm the officer in charge of my company, when I get a letter, I have to be tested in 24 hours or I can't work. If I call the hospital and they can't do it, which often happens 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they can do a drug test, because they only do it for about 15 minutes a day every third Tuesday of the month, I have to literally get on the High Line, go to Hyannis and get drug tested. I had no say in that. So I don't like that when I have to take a day off from chartering and go to Hyannis and get to pee in a cup and come all the way back. So I'm going to try my best to make sure that you guys don't run into the same problems that I run into. So I understand what it's like and the difficulties to run a business, believe me. So we'll make sure that we have someone here during the busy months to calibrate the meter if your car goes down and you have to change the meter to another car.
Yes, question?
Yep.
When Charlie talked about the measured miles, you gotta get a survey and all that. Does each meter have to be installed and then the car driven
Yes.
on that mile to be
So
certified?
that's what basically calibrates that meter to that car. There's a speed pulse, there's an electronic pulse that comes from the vehicle. The meter just reads that pulse. Going over that
Doesn't matter. We
mile,
can leave it just-
the meter will count those pulses going over that measured mile, and that's how the
25 to
meter
10.
is set. So it's unique to each vehicle, I would even say even each model will be a little bit different, so, yeah, that's how they do it. It's nothing more than, the time it takes to do it is the time it takes to drive the measured mile. That's as long as it takes.
On the plate.
Any other questions?
Do we, and I'm sorry, I missed the
Yep.
last meeting, do we know how long it takes to install? The two companies that you talked to?
It should be fairly quick. I mean, if you go on, there's YouTubes online about how these are installed in cars. There's a 12-volt power, there's a ground, and there's a speed sensor wire. The speed sensor wire on any car after 2006 can plug into the plug underneath the dash. Of cars that are older, you have to do a little bit more of finding the right wire, but again, all the instructions are there. It's nothing that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, I walked in a minute late.
That's all right.
Did I hear right that the out-of-town flag drop, picking up and dropping off in the outer zones would be $12?
Yeah, we just looked at it. I mean, you guys could look at it some more, obviously, but it looks, you've got the comparison chart here now, so you can look at it. It brings it, it gives it a slight increase over what you're getting now. Before it was, with the $14, it was a substantial increase, so. That's, you got 2 weeks here to go back and kind
Okay,
of
was the mileage
go
the
through.
same for that?
It's 50 cents for 1/5 of a mile.
It's 50 cents for 1/5. Yeah, we didn't change anything, but we just dropped $2 off the drop.
Right, I just want one quick thing out, just, I'm sure everybody knows this, but just need to say, so the cat goes out to Toppers, picks up and takes somebody back a mile to Pocono Road, fare is gonna be $14.50, because it's 1 mile. But if he goes out to Toppers, picks somebody up with the rates we're at now, and takes them all the way back to town, he's charged, the fare is $27.
Yeah, because it'd be mileage charges, that's about right, yeah.
Okay, but even though he drops off at Pocono, he still has to drive all the way back to town. They don't have central dispatch.
Well, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some that you're going to make a little less on, some you're going to make more, so it's going to average out.
Just point that out for now.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here till we're all old and gray and try to figure this out to get it exactly the way it was, and we're never going to do it, so,
Well, we just want to make sure we're not losing money, too.
Yeah, I think when you sit down and you look at these rates, you're actually going to make more money than you're making now.
I mean, you guys just
From the
came back
numbers
this
that I've
meeting,
crunched.
just said lower them, that we came in too high on the town fares. We dropped them
Well, I'm
apart.
talking about the
Do you
core.
understand why you said that?
No, we're not trying to take any money out of your pockets here.
It's not that. When you raise the rates too high,
Right, people won't use you.
It's not taken care of.
It's that supply, I agree. I mean,
I
it's-
understand.
and we service a lot of workers, so they're used to paying $7, and it goes to $10. They're going to be saying, we can't afford to lose those workers.
Anything else from the committee? All right, guys, I'll schedule the meeting for probably this room, the 7th at 8 o'clock. If that changes, I will email you. The meeting will be posted online, so, and in the town building, so if you can all check the website or stop in and make sure that it's
Have you arrived at everything, I mean, can you read everything off to us now that you've arrived at?
Yeah.
Or it's going to be tweaked again?
Well, I'm going to have you guys go back through it, your group, and then we'll finalize it at the next one. But right now, where we're at is Zone 1, the rate 1 is a $6 drop, 25 cents for a tenth of a mile. The seniors is a $3 drop, 25 cents for a tenth of a mile. The rate 2, the out-of-town areas, is a $12 drop, 50 cents for a fifth of a mile. And then the second fare is an $8.50 drop, 25 cents for a tenth of a mile. The add-ons are $2.50 for the additional passenger, $5 for after midnight to 6 a.m., $2.50 for fifth bag and up, and $2.50 for a bike.
That bag, was it just a blanket $250, whether they have not individual bags?
4 bags in the car is,
$250. I mean, just.
no.
It's included. Anything over the two.
First 4 are free, anything over 4 is $2.50.
For one person?
It doesn't matter. If you put 3 people in the cab and they put 6 bags in, you're going to add a $2.50 fare. But if you put 2 people in the cab and they put 4 bags in, there's no add-on. Okay? And that, when it comes to the bags, that's up to the driver. I mean, but it's going to be clear that it's 4 bags and the cab is free. I'm the first one, if I come in on the High Line and I get a bunch of stuff and I get in the cab, 99% of the time the cab drivers don't charge me because they know me, so, you guys do what you want with that one, really.
And that's throw a button on the meter.
Yeah, just hit the button. But then it's printed out on the receipt, so the key here is there's a receipt, and every time you hit that button, it's printed on there. So now, if someone has a dispute over a fare, they have a receipt. And it's going to eliminate the arguments about back and forth between you and the fare and you and the police, because it's all right there in black and white. This is what I charged him, this is where we started, this is where we went, this is what he had.
That receipt just gonna say extra, it's gonna say bags. And
No, just say extra, 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 but then you say to, if someone complains, they're going to go to the police department, the police is going to come to you and say, well, where was the fare? Well, I picked him up at the High Line, he had 6 bags, and I took him to the White Elephant. I charged him $2.50 extra for the extra bags. There you go. There's no argument now, it's there. One thing I did want to state, and this really doesn't pertain to this committee, but I wanted to let the cab community know this. Hold on, let me pull up this email. I got an email from Catherine Stover. If I can find it in here. Here we go. The other regulation change that we stated was that we were going to put the 3-inch numbers on the cab. She said, according to the gentleman from whom we acquire the livery decals, it turns out that the industry standard for the tags is a 4-inch number affixed to the front sides and back of the cab. When I hand out the numbers at renewal time, I will ask the numbers be affixed to the back as well as to the sides, and she's ordered it in 4-inch numbers. So when we do the final update to the regs, I just want everyone to know that the number's going to go from a 3-inch to a 4-inch, because it costs, as usual, it costs more money to print a 3-inch. So the numbers will be 4-inch, and she'll give those to you when you renew your licenses. So I just didn't want anybody to be surprised by that. 3 sets, or 3, yeah, each side and then the back. And they say the reason is I don't think our reg said the back, but most people see a cab when it's driving off, so that's why the number goes on the back. Okay.
Are there any repercussions for cabs not having those numbers posted on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
$50 fine?
Yep.
I'm sorry, what was that, a fine?
Yeah, it's a $50 fine.
I don't understand why we're doing the numbers then.
Because most people, when they complain about a cab, say they don't catch the name of the
Well, you
cab.
have the receipt now, because if you go to meters.
No,
the receipt.
this is more for refusal of fare.
Oh,
The cab driver said he wouldn't take me. And then the cab drives off, and he said, they come in and say, well, it was a white van.
Would you like to have
So
a
this-
names on the car?
You still have your names, yes, but this is just a number on the back. I mean,
It's a great idea.
yeah, you know, cab number 14, it's easy to remember a number, but it's not easy to remember, you know, everyone's got a unique name. I think that's the best part about the cab business in Nantucket is we just don't see yellow cab on every cab. But this way, every cab has a number, just like the town vehicles have numbers and the buses have numbers, so.
Oh, I don't know if this is like maybe related or not, but this new application that they have come up with phones and everything for complaints about, a busted sidewalk or a fence or something, will this be applicable to?
It could be.
Complaint?
Yeah, we could.
In other words, somebody's two, whatever, standing there at the corner and they could,
Yeah, it could be, I don't know, it really probably, I mean, it needs to go to the police department because they're the organization that regulates the cabs.
right.
But, the fact that there's a number on the back of a cab, everyone has a camera and a phone now, so they could
Right.
just take a picture of the cab.
Yeah, exactly, but I just knew that the application was.
Yeah, you're talking about the phone app where if you see something wrong with the town, you can take a picture of a pothole. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Which I hope that the cab community is using because you guys are on the roads more than anyone. So if you see a problem with a road or something, a lot of times we don't know about it. You snap a picture, you send it to that app, and then it will get it repaired. So.
I think we're going to get this in now. This is going to come up at the next meeting. I think the consensus is going to be, especially for those large shedding dogs, we're going to need the dog add-on
We'll talk about that
for
next
the
meeting.
vacuuming and the taking up 2 seats.
And then we can refuse the person that's jumping in with 2 giant wet dogs coming from the beach.
Right.
But it's a fair refusal.
I prefer the dog charge over the extra bag charge.
Yeah. We have both.
I think any customer getting into a cab after you have a dog that's been at the beach or shedding and gets off that aircraft or a private jet, gets in a plane,
Well, we're never supposed to give up any extras. There's no reason why we have to.
I'm just saying,
All right.
everything's negotiation.
If y'all don't mind,
You gotta go.
I have to catch a plane and get to Boston, so this will give me a little bit of time to do a few things.
So we can use the room for the rest of
Yeah, you guys can stay here.
Yeah, we can leave that.
I'm going to keep her the maps for now.
Yeah, you can just make sure you change the rate that Nathan put on there.
Coach is picking me up with his ejection seat cab, he said.